All right, so just waiting for Tom to join me and go from there. Um, kind of sporadic. Didn't even necessarily know that. I mean, we were talking about doing this leading up to Slow Decay coming out on Friday, and definitely looking forward to a lot of people finally getting to hear that. I mean, obviously, everyone kind of already has. If you have the 7 inches that came out, there he is.
Hey,
Hey,
can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Perfect.
Yeah, what do you think of that background? It's all sexy.
Ooh, hell yeah.
I didn't even figure that the Acacia Strain thing was gonna pop up and be just perfectly there, but
That is great. I'm gonna hit record on my GarageBand real quick.
okay, I already did the same.
Cool. I'm ripping.
And I will start the Instagram live thing here now, since you're actually there.
Herky.
Herky jerky.
This is I feel official right now.
I mean, it's not a Twitch stream. I'm not Ronnie Radke with like a million fucking followers or anything, but this is
I
fun.
mean, it's still cool. This is a better setup than I normally got going, so I'm down with this.
It's definitely COVID has definitely made me start figuring out how to do a lot of shit that I wouldn't have initially.
Yeah, I feel that for sure.
Um, let's so we got the Instagram going. So whenever you want to get added to that,
Oh,
we'll have
yeah,
that pop
sorry.
up. No, you're good.
Are you on your personal one or the brutally speaking one?
Should be the brutally speaking.
Okay, it's not showing it, but
Well, maybe I'll end this and redo it. I'm not sure. I
oh,
think I'm
there
on
it
the
is.
brutally speaking. Oh, okay.
I am about to request.
Oh, so sexy. About to light a fucking candle in this motherfucker.
Oh, I gotta mute that.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know if me turning my volume is gonna fuck up the volume on the Instagram live thing, but I don't really give a shit.
Oh no. Okay.
So much media.
I know. I feel like a nerd ass right now. I have so much stuff in front of me.
I feel like this is what virtuosity must have been like.
I don't even know what that is.
What? You've never seen Virtuosity?
Uh-uh.
Oh man, Virtuosity is a movie with Denzel Washington and at the time a rather unknown uh fuck, what's the dude from Gladiator? Russell Crowe. He was the bad dude. And
Oh,
basically
okay.
it's almost like a pseudo matrixy type thing storyline. It's weird and wild. Maybe it doesn't hold up anymore, but if you saw it, I mean, I don't know. It's funny, like, because people give me a lot of shit for not having seen Goonies, and I'm like, I'm
You haven't
gonna
seen
be
the Goonies?
36. Nah, I didn't. I never saw Goonies as a
Oh,
kid, and
you're
then
missing
everyone's
out.
well, yeah, but then everyone says that, and I'm like, so what? It's supposed to recapture the nostalgia of watching it as a child that I never did.
Yeah, I guess that's true. It'll probably suck to you now. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, it's gonna suck. So don't even bother. You're right.
exactly. Yeah, like there are just some things that retroactively you can't circumvent the nostalgia attached to it.
Yeah,
And be like, you know what? I bet like 6-year-old me would have fucking loved this.
this is definitely true.
What are you drinking on?
I'm drinking on my favorite Raleigh brewery, Trophy. It's called Trophy Partner,
Okay.
and
And
I
what?
I believe they do some kind of donation to some LGBTQ foundation for this one, but I don't know for sure.
So weirdly on that, I saw earlier today that apparently somewhere that's a double negative. Something somewhere was posting on about LGBTQ is basically a genderless, ageless thing.
Mm-hmm.
So as a result, weird pedophile dudes are like, yeah, absolutely, and like are like
Yeah, that's
sharing it
weird
and
to me.
commenting on
I
that,
don't think
like
that's the intent.
no, but it's like they're like, oh, thank God for the LGBTQ community for outing basically pedophiles, and I was like, what the fuck, man? Like, how dumb do you have to be to like it's not the dude from fucking Star Wars. It's not a trap, like.
Right.
But anyway, no. So Lamb of God put out that beer, the non-alcoholic beer. Have you seen or heard about it?
Yes. Oh no, hold on. My GarageBand stopped recording. No.
Oh no! Did
It's so
mine?
weird doing
Oh,
this on a
mine's still
different
going.
computer and not in Logic like I normally do. But, I did see the Lamb of God beer.
So
I I think I can say this because I don't think my friend has Instagram, but I got it for a friend for his birthday, so it's, like, on his way to his house.
So I actually liked it. I thought it was rather surprising how much it tastes like a real like. I mean, straight up, I did a chat with Willie Adler about it,
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
I
I
took the
listened to
first,
that episode.
and I was like, I can't believe this is not real beer. Like, it tastes like a real beer. Meanwhile, my co-host is like, this is fucking garbage. It's the worst shit I've ever tasted. So, but the company that makes it, BrewDog, there we go. I love doing the reverse of things.
Oh, yeah.
But
Always
basically,
messing me up.
they put out a sampler pack. So I was like, the beer, the non-alcoholic beer is pretty good. So let's see how this the beer is. So this is my first one. It's the Hazy Jane. It's a New England style IPA, which I mean we're in
Very
IPA
cool.
season, so
Yeah, definitely. That's awesome. Yeah, I don't even remember. I think this is also like a New England style. I got this and another one from Trophy at the same time, and neither of them say which style they are on the can, but I'm like, I think I remember that.
fair enough. So the whole reason we have you on again is to talk about Slow Decay, which comes out in 2 days, 3 days,
Uh,
2 days.
Hold on. I think it turns out, son of a bitch. Okay, so it turns out that my friend is watching, and I just ruined the birthday gift that I thought that he wouldn't find out about. Well,
Well,
happy birthday, Rick. You're getting Lamb of God beer. Yes, Slow Decay is coming out in 2 days. This is true.
it was so funny, thinking back to when we did the conversation in the van, and
Oh
me
god,
basically
yeah.
just being like, yeah, like I indirectly, without knowing any of it, I called basically the two records, and then how you were going to release one of them, and you're just like, and I just always think about you being like, did someone tell you all this? Because like, how did you just guess all that? And I was like, yeah, I did. I
Yeah.
mean, it just makes sense because it would seem like it would be better for a band to uh would be better for a band to do something like that, especially before all this COVID shit happens.
Mhm.
But it's just one of those things where I I'm stoked that another band did it outside of Crosses, or I'm sorry,
Mhm.
Crosses. Yeah, that's right. Did it with their the two EPs, and then the third one created the full length, which is basically what you've done.
Yeah.
And in light of everything that's happened, it's almost like you guys just tapped into your fucking, Nostradamus ball or whatever. And then we're like, hey, we need to make sure that we have something in motion so that when this whole thing starts going down, we're good to go.
Yeah, we got real lucky with that for sure. I don't I don't know who put the ideas in everybody's brains that this has to happen right now, but it worked out perfectly where we're still able to put music out during a time where we can't play music.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like I mean, I know you guys live in just completely different states and so forth, but
Mhm.
I mean, it's been really interesting to watch how everyone has figured out different ways to handle this. I mean, we just saw Trivium do
Mhm.
like basically a full album stream, a live playthrough, a full show recently over on their Twitch channel or whatever. We've seen, Dropkick and Code Orange doing a bunch of like empty arena shows.
Yeah.
Suicide Silence is doing the tour, the
I
virtual
think
world
that's
tour.
I thought that was really cool. I don't know how it's working out because I haven't heard anybody who's watched it, but I was like, that's pretty sick. I think that's like the coolest way I've seen it done so far.
Well, and I this is so shitty to admit, but I was listening back to the episode I did, or the Instagram live I did with Blasco,
Mhm.
and as we were kind of talking about how basically Suicide Silence won, they figured out the best way to do this. And it's one of those where it's like, it does make me start wondering if bands will not only kind of look to follow in their footsteps and figure out another way to do that themselves, but more adversely, if it's a way to break into untapped markets. Like, you guys probably can't go over to Abu Dhabi or something like that, but that doesn't mean there's not fans of yours over there. So you could
Yeah.
do something like this on the sly, or not on the sly, on the cheap, because you don't have to pay
Mhm.
for visas and all that kind of stuff and haul your gear.
Yeah.
But it would be a way to get you or the fans over in remote areas a quote unquote live experience. And I'm interested to see how this changes all of that. The
Yeah.
touring industry, once it kind of goes back to normal.
Yeah. I'm curious to see that too, because one, I think there's gonna be way less bands than there was before. But two, it's like, I mean, this is kind of like an extreme example, but like you think about all these businesses that had storefronts that now are no longer like doing that because they figured out a way to do it without physically being there. And now it's just like, how many bands are gonna not physically go places when they could just do the streaming stuff now?
Yeah, it's interesting because I wonder too if it will. I mean, it's like I said, it's just been so interesting to see how everyone's adopting to things. Like, I mean, Code Orange is doing kind of crazy things. Like, they're making merch lines around some of this stuff, and some
Mhm.
of the other. I mean, I know some bands like listening to Shane Told's podcast today, with what's her face from Spirit Box, that
Courtney.
used to be that used to be in Iwabo. They were talking about how Silverstein was on just that like sweet spot in the run where basically they had to order another set of merch.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, and then it's like, well, fuck, we have all this merch now, but the tour's done. So now what?
Yeah, we
And
gotta reorder the day the tour got canceled. Like, it was shipped to Chain Reaction, and we were just screwed with it.
it's interesting though to see people making merch now for these live events. Even like I could
Yeah.
see Vincent during his Twitch stream being like, oh, and I have a limited run of merch for my Twitch stream.
Yeah.
And seeing how everyone apparently now everyone has Twitch. And it's just funny because it's like, if you ever thought, I don't know, I'm kind of enjoying all of the extra, I don't want to call it content, but the extra glimpses into everyone's life, because I feel like it's like, if you thought what I do is glamorous, let me show you how unglamorous what I'm actually doing is. This is me playing Animal Crossing for 8 hours,
Yeah.
and this is all I'd be doing anyway until we go on. Like, I'd be playing this in the van or in backstage, play a show, hang out for a hot minute, and then I'd go back to the van and play this.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting seeing how, like, because dudes in bands are just bored, honestly, like, how everyone is doing every podcast, every interview, every, like, YouTube thing, like, every type of media, people are just like, "Yeah, let's do it because we have the time because 'cause we're home," and it's like, "What else are we doing?" But, yeah, it's definitely been funny to, like, see the different things and, like, learn about even some of my friends who I'm like, "Oh, I didn't realize that they did that," you know? Just because it's like everyone's home now.
I've honestly been surprised when I get turned down for things. Like,
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and say this because I don't give a shit, but D. Snyder put out a live record or live DVD and a live record.
Mhm.
And so I was like, figure he's not doing shit.
Yeah.
Give me 10, 15 minutes with him, and we'll talk about the project. And then they were like, yeah, he's not doing any press. And I was like, oh, okay. And then over the last 2 weeks, he's been on like fucking everything I listen to. And I'm like,
Yeah, I'm
don't
pretty
tell
sure
me.
Shane Gold had him on.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like,
Yeah.
don't tell me that someone's not doing press. Just tell me that they're not going to do my show, or that we're not on the level to get that person. I'd
Right.
rather have it be explained to me in a realist sense. Don't tell me they're not doing it, because it's like, it's almost like it's almost like that Cat Williams thing when he was talking about people doing drugs so openly out in LA, and he's like, I can see you, right?
Yeah.
And I
For
feel like
real.
that, where it's like, I can see all these interviews, right? Like, I see these, and he's sharing them. So like, it's not like I don't know.
Yeah, definitely.
What I know one of the previous times we talked, you were talking about how you and your lady would do like little recorded not FaceTime, but little recorded videos and such.
Mhm.
As such, since you typically are gone so often, how have you
Yeah.
found having the time together to be home?
Oh, it's sick. Like, everybody who was I mean, honestly, there was a part of me that was like, we'll probably have like a week where we freak out on each other just because it's like we're both stressed about being home the whole time. But it was sick. Like, I would kill for her to still be here, like, with like, I mean, her salon is back open, so like
Mm.
she's working normally. And I mean, I've been doing as much work as I can, but like that 6 weeks where it was like we couldn't do anything, I was like, all right, this is tight. Like, we had a routine of like, we wake up, play Animal Crossing from this time to this time. She does whatever work she's got to do. I'll do like podcast or music stuff. And then we meet back up at a certain time, and then we just hang out some more. So it was definitely tight. And I will, I mean, now it's like the roles are reversed. Like, when I'm on tour, I really miss her. And now that I'm home, just not I feel like this almost sounds condescending, but it's not supposed to be. But like now that it's just me and her, it's like, oh, well, now I'm missing the road, you know? So it's just like an interesting like flip flop
Switch.
than what
Yeah.
I'm normally used to.
What
Also,
is
I am sorry, but my GarageBand on my this MacBook is fucking up. So I hope you can be recording this some other way also.
your audio sounds good on this. The worst case, I'll just do like a screen grabby type thing on this. I mean, the ways that I've done this before are the most, I mean, thank God I'm not very technologically skilled with things, because like the way I used to do the podcast, it's laughable. And if I played you some of the episodes, you'd be like, that's how you recorded it. It was literally me taking my old like iPod or my iPad, and then taking the microphone and putting it like forward, and then I'd be on one side, and then
Oh
I'd
my
have
God.
the speaker. And when I told people that, and they're like, that sounds so good considering that's how you recorded it, I'd have no fucking idea that that's how you did it. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. I had to come up with something. I didn't know. So
all right, awesome. Well, as long as you can make what I'm giving you work, then we're good. I'm not going to worry about that too much.
yeah, it's fine. What's been something maybe that you've been putting off because you usually aren't home, that you've now had time to get all squared away?
The podcast, my podcast, that was like something I was trying to do for like 2 years probably, and then I just couldn't make it work. And then it was like once quarantine hit, it was like we all have to be home. I was like, oh, I have time. Like if I don't get it done now, I'm never going to do it, you know? So it was just like it works to finally be able to rip with that.
How have you found doing the podcast?
I really like doing the interviews. I kind of don't care about doing anything else with it. Like,
Nope.
I'm just like the only thing that I'm like, I feel satisfied with is once it's up and then I can hear it back and be like, okay, cool. Or if somebody tweets to me, I'm like, okay, cool. Like that was tight. But everything other than the conversation, I'm just like, fuck, this sucks.
I don't know if I go way overboard with how I do my thing, but typically I'll go through manual, like I'll split the tracks manually, level everything by hand, then go through, once that's all condensed down to one track, then go through and edit it, and then when that's done, throw it into an app called the Levelator, which basically just makes everything at the same level, and then from there piece it all together and then make a final. But it's like, fuck, I'm sure someone like, cause it was funny because like as I've been thinking about doing more video stuff and kind of incorporating that, the thing that gets kind of scary to me, and now like apps like this and so forth make it so much easier because you can kind of like record from these or whatever, but is syncing like the actual audio from like our nice microphones, our local audio to the video. And everyone's like, just do one of those and you're good. And I'm like, no, like, cause it falls out of sync after a while.
Yeah, totally.
And then I remember seeing someone, I don't remember if it was Logic or where it was, but someone made the comment. They're like, yeah, you just gotta, like, there's a button you hit and it just like syncs everything. And I was like, I fucking wish.
Yeah. I don't know about that button. If I did, that would be tight, but I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, I don't know. There's so many different things between like Reaper and what Logic and Ableton and all these other, interfaces and so forth. It's like everyone learns how to use whatever, and till then
I basically do mine as if it's like a really scaled down record. Like everything I do about it is like the same way that I do like mixing and tracking guitars. It's like, okay, this is just how I know how to do it. I'm just gonna do that. It might be too many steps, but it's just like that's how I know how to do it.
Here's a fun thing that I find with talking to people who podcast. What's something, I mean, I know you've only put out 4 or 5 episodes now. I know you just did the one with Adam from Lorna Shore.
I think that was actually episode 9. So
okay,
I'm hitting the 10
double
episode
digits
milestone. Yeah.
What's something that you've learned about yourself, like a bad maybe character trait of talking that you've picked up on?
Easily that I say that's awesome. Like that's my
Do you know what it looks like in waveform yet? Like, do you know it's coming just how it looks?
Basically. And then I constantly do the thing. Like I don't know if that's because it's like a phone call that I'm usually on or what, but I'm always, like a million times through it's just
So it's funny you say that, because and even when I edit, I try to think of how much of that I want to keep in, because sometimes to me the whole point of at least for me, like I'm not in a band that people know or anything like that, is that the other people probably want to hear the guest. So
Right.
part of me is just like, fuck it, don't say anything. And even if I did, like the guest knows that, but just keep it level so only that person's talking, maybe other than where I say something and then they,
Mhm.
interject or whatever. But it's so hard because then people will be like, well, it didn't even sound like you cared. You didn't say anything. It didn't sound like you were interested. And then the flip side of
Yeah.
it is then people are like, you need to shut the fuck up. You talk too much. And it's like, so where's the
Yeah.
happy medium here for me? So
Yeah. I
that's been fun.
definitely I definitely, over the past, like, couple weeks, I was like, I barely edited them because I'm just like, I don't like, it doesn't like, editing 1 or 2 words out, like, does not make a difference, and I finally was just like, "Okay, this is I'm stressing myself out for no reason. I'm just gonna fucking throw it up there." Like, I still listen to it and edit it if there's, like, talking over each other like crazy, that I'll get rid of, but the, like, taking away uhs or pauses, I'm like, "That's too much for me to deal with."
I used to have that same thought where I was like, I'm not gonna edit anything, like it's just raw, real, honest, and all that stuff. And the episode that broke me of that was Doug or White Lies was Douglas Robinson of at the time ex God, I keep wanting to say it's sleeping, but and that technically is true, but Night Verses.
Oh, yeah.
And he told me to call him like early in the morning, and it just turned into a thing of I think I legitimately edited out 30, 35 minutes of yeah, likes, you knows, just from him. And I was like, there's no
Yeah,
way I can keep that in. I
yeah,
can't. Like it's so bad. So it's it's one of those where that was the one that I was like, I guess a little bit of editing isn't that bad.
yeah, okay, there's a fine line, but if it's like a shitload of them, 'em, I'll do it, but if it's 1 here or there, I'm like, I can't deal with this, I don't care."
Who's someone you're excited to have on the show?
I have no fucking clue because I have, like, nobody lined up right now. I've got, Devin lined up from us, Acacia Strain, and
Oh, that'll be
then
fun.
yeah, and then, I was gonna do, like, a solo episode where I, like, asked people what like, I put, like, one of those Instagram things up where you ask questions, so I was just gonna talk to myself about
What tuning are you in?
yeah, literally that, and then I think me and Alex from Counterparts might be starting our own podcast about,
Mm,
like, movies and TV.
doing the same thing.
Yeah,
Now
I
that
don't
this is
know
all
for
going
sure.
over,
Yeah, but I I want to do that because I just text him about movies every day now. So it's like, we might as well record something.
yeah, I'm at the point right now where I decided I wanted to do I was going to do kind of a solo thing and kind of make
Mhm.
it a Facebook Live kind of thing, I thought. But a friend of mine, one of my tattoo artist friends, was like, dude, I love movies. Like, I want to be involved. But
Yeah,
the idea was to get high and then do like a commentary and call it highly entertaining or highly watchable, one or the
that's
other.
sick. Yeah.
And so I was like, after learning a lot about podcasting from doing this for almost 4 years now, I was like, I don't want to like do it every week. That sucks. It's a lot of like like time constraints and like worry that you're going to get something out
Yeah.
consistently. I was like, so I think I want to adopt like a season philosophy and do like 8 episodes. Each episode we'll set the format of like, here are the 8. It's broken down by category, so it's like comedy, drama, cult classics, directors, horror, and then something else.
Mhm.
And is one of those things like we'll do it, we'll watch it, and then we'll fucking post it all at once, and then like while that's out, we'll
Yeah.
then be recording the next season, and then you kind of can do that for however long you want to do it. But
That's so if you ever need a guest to get high with and to watch a movie and comment on it, I will be your guest.
well, I've tried figuring out if there's a way to do like a watch party on here where you
Uh-huh.
grab something from YouTube and then do the watch party on Facebook and then kind of have it set up sort of like this. I
There's
don't
there's
know.
a Chrome extension for Netflix that's like a Netflix watch party where you could watch, like, simultaneously, and there's a chat box, but I feel
Hmm.
like if you were to have this ripping with that, you could, like, screen share and comment over it. I don't know. That's something for you to work out, but I like the idea a lot.
The other thing too is, and I don't know if this is a workaround for copyright infringement things,
Oh,
but
yeah, true.
reversing the image. Like you'll see videos on YouTube where it's
Yeah,
like straight up something, but it's just reversed.
yeah,
And then you're like, why? Oh, because then Facebook or whatever the algorithms won't catch it because it's backwards, so it won't
yeah.
recognize it. So there's little weird loophole things like that I've thought about doing to be able to do something like that on more of a an actual like streaming platform to kind of do it. But I don't know. It's an idea right now. The irony is half the time when I get high, I just sit there and I don't really talk. So I don't really know how well that's gonna work.
Yeah,
But
I almost feel like you could do it like you get high and then you then like watch it while you're stoned and then you comment on it afterwards. But I don't know if that's as funny because you say funny things when you're high. So I don't know.
yeah, it's definitely something that I think will be a lot of fun. And I mean, it's totally in the vein of like Doug loves movies and you know how
Yeah.
did this get made and stuff like that. Like I'm not fucking breaking down any barriers with this idea, but it's something like I love movies and man, I don't know what this person on Facebook is commenting about, but
I don't even know what I don't even have it open, so I have no clue what's going on.
so they post like 3 to 4 things, and it's like more. First of all, Levante Pittman, whoever that is going like more white lies. Go back to the cave, and then Genesis 25:25, King James version, and the first came out red all over like a hairy garment, like in hairy garment. That's not a correct sentence. And they called his name Asu. I don't know.
I have no clue what any of that means.
I don't know either. I think those are go back to lyrics.com and pull up some Acacia Strain lyrics. I don't think those are the right ones.
I'm trying to get the thing up.
Well, I can do this so you can see it like on the screen.
Ah! I just got the volume thing that you told me that you warned me about. Started hearing us 20 seconds delayed.
Dude, it's so rough when that happens.
Oh,
I feel like we're
now. Go back to the cave. I don't know. I'm gonna ignore that.
Well, it is what it is. But yeah, caveman. What because you're down in North Carolina?
Mm-hmm. Yep, Raleigh.
Raleigh, that's right. You already said that with the beer. I forgot.
Yes.
I swear I haven't been smoking yet.
That's okay.
What was with a lot of bands basically not choosing to put out their record when it was supposed to. Was there a thought of not putting out Slow Decay? No. Or was it too far gone because of how all the 7 inches and all the rollout plan you already had to where you're like, it's too late now?
No, we definitely could have delayed it, but I don't know. I feel like the sales, like the first week sales being like the be all end all, I feel like that's so far gone. Like, yeah, good first week sales help, but especially when the whole world is going to remember that 2020 was a pandemic, it's like, I think we'll be okay, you know. Where like I get why some bands have not released, but in my opinion, it was just like, doesn't really matter for us, you know.
That's actually something interesting I brought up with I don't remember who I was talking to it about. It might have been Corey from Trivium actually, but do you feel that that's actually going to be something that goes away? The importance of first week numbers.
I'm honestly surprised it hasn't gone away yet. Like
Same.
I think it's like first week sales have been generally obsolete for the past like 10 years because that's when downloading like really became like everyone doing it, you know, like early 2000s was when it was like kind of this taboo thing still, but I feel like for the past 10 years it's been like everyone's downloading stuff. There's been streaming coming up for the last 10 years, you know, so it's like I'm just surprised that anyone focuses on first week sales anymore, but yeah, I don't know. I would like to see them go away because I think streams are a much more accurate representation of like your fan base than sales. But I also
Trapped would have you believe that.
Yeah, I forgot about their Pandora numbers where only 80-year-olds use Pandora.
I honestly, I mean, I can't speak, you know, whether those are accurate numbers or not. Excuse me, but if those metrics are actually legit, I'm shocked that there are those kind of numbers that can be had on Pandora because I don't know anyone that listens to it.
I have the one person that I know who uses Pandora is my father-in-law, and that's because he just wants to use like the radio. Like he would rather like make an artist radio than just like scroll through his dial. But like Yeah, that's literally the only person in my life that I know that uses Pandora still.
It's wild. Like when they were throwing those numbers out of like, oh, we have 6,000 or 60,000 monthly listens or whatever. I was like, I mean, if you do, that's awesome. But it's one of those like where it's like, is that's sort of how I feel about first week numbers, where like someone will
Mhm.
throw out a number like that, and you're kind of like, all right, but what does that mean practically in today's
Yeah.
world? Where it's like, like you'll see the thing like, Blabbermouth or someone will be like, oh, um, who was it? August Burns Red. Their record was down 72% from what the last record sold.
Mhm.
And you're kind of like, okay, I mean that yes, that is an astronomical amount of a number for
Yeah.
streams or totals that weren't there. But what does that mean? Like, especially when you're not able to tour, like, I don't think anyone's going to go through and be like, so your first week numbers were terrible, and now everyone's gonna be like, well, I guess August Burns Red's diminished goods and they can't come out on tour with us. Like, no.
Yeah.
Like everyone knows that August Burns Red rips, so they're not gonna fucking be like, no one's gonna sit there and be like, well, their last album, they're on the way down. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure somewhere in the industry that will happen, but as far as like people going to the show, I don't know. I don't think fans give a shit about numbers. Like I don't know of anybody who's ever been like, "Oh, this band didn't sell that much. I guess I got to stop listening to them." Like I see where in the industry that's still kind of a thing, even though I think it should be moved on and like focused way more on streams, but yeah, I agree with you. I don't think other than like the couple resources in the industry that still pay attention to that, I don't think first week numbers really matters to anybody anymore.
I uh I do wonder if we'll start seeing the trend being more focused on what a record does over its actual album cycle.
Mhm.
Because to me, it would seem like it would be better to have an album that maybe doesn't just splash right away and then fucking fall off after the first week,
Yeah.
but have a steady climb. Like, I feel like that is more important because that means that the touring numbers are probably supporting the growth.
Mhm.
And all of the other business things are what actually is impacting the record sales, not you're like, hey, we had a bunch of marketing and press shit going on for a strong release, first week release, and then after that, everyone kind of forgot about it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think to some extent people are kind of aware of that. Like I know like bands at our level where it's like we're not pulling diamond records ever. Like I mean nobody's doing that ever anymore,
We went
but
aluminum.
yeah, but like I feel like that's like more of a focus that a lot of people in the industry at our level do focus on. Like they'll look at your touring numbers with your record sales with your streams. Like it's more of a culmination of all those things that they pay attention to than just here's your first week. That's what your career lies on.
So here's a fun thing, and I was listening to I don't remember what podcast it was either, but basically they were talking about your numbers that what kind of beer am I drinking? It's a Brewdog Clockwork Tangerine. It's a tangerine session IPA. It's okay. I like the other one better, but try new beers. But all that said, they were talking about when you guys go out on tour, you'll get a certain amount of CDs or whatever, and then you're like kind of sending the scans back to whomever. And there are bands that fucking lie through their teeth about the numbers that they're pulling, where they're like, yeah, we were scanning, like I think it's concert scanning or something like that. I forget what it's
Mhm.
actually the name of it is, but they're like, oh, you'd see bands that are like, oh, we're putting out 1,200 a week,
Yeah.
and like you're like, that doesn't seem right.
Yeah, that's
And
the other thing. It's like you can skew all those numbers with the sales in kind of whatever way you need to.
yeah,
So I think that's like part of why. I mean, I guess you could skew anything. Like you can have somebody sit around with 15 MacBooks open to 15 different Spotify accounts and start your
yeah.
streams going. But
What is that
yeah, I
called?
don't
Stream
I don't know.
farming.
I think so, yeah. It's
Yeah.
a I don't know, I guess the numbers never really mattered to me as much, so I never thought about a lot of it, but it's all, like, very valid thing like, even when I'm in the band, I'm like, I don't really care about the numbers. I care about who's at the show and what people are saying about the record. But, it's definitely I do think, like, the state of the world right now is going to show some difference in how the industry moves forward in some way.
So here's a fun question I was thinking of as we were kind of just talking about all that. How, and if you don't want to answer this or don't know the answer, that's fine. So obviously with Decay being what will become the full length, do those sales count toward the full? Or how does that work? Do they count as individual? Like literally, do they count as singles, or do they, because they're a part of what will become the full? Does it count as a full?
I think they count as singles. I don't
Okay.
think. Yeah, I don't think we like helped ourselves with the numbers. I think if anything, we probably made it look worse on us. But yeah, but that was a discussion with us. We were just like, we don't care as much, as like I know some bands that still like really value their first week sales, and I get it. Like it's cool to see a sick number, but for us, it's like I don't know. We knew that we were probably going to shoot ourselves in the ass with the first week sales, but it was just kind of like whatever. We want to do this idea. It is what it is,
Have you been surprised at the amount of positive feedback, not only from people actually buying all the 7-inches as well as pre-ordering the vinyl and everything else?
I'm surprised at how many people were like, I gotta get all of them. That's awesome. Like I mean, you were texting me that you had ordered a bunch of stuff from like It Comes in Waves, and I know that you were updating me on the ones that you were getting, but when I saw so many people being like, I gotta get every single one of them, and before they even knew how many letters it was, it's like you could have got yourself into this cycle of buying the alphabet, like, and that was the thing that I was the most impressed with, was like, wow, people are real. Like, one, it's sick that they're into these songs, but two, it's like, holy shit, they're down to just get this whole collection, and that was the coolest thing for me.
I think that, and the funny thing is, I just got my email today that it looks like Y and Slow Decay are being sent out together, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the way it is.
But what's interesting is, as I look over at my records, with some of them, I was just trying to get that lower pressing variant. And then, like, I know I texted you, I was like, you're making me buy hoodies I don't need in the middle of summer. I have 2 Acacia Strain hoodies after I already wear one to death.
Yeah.
Not the ones that I got for the pre-order, but like the maroon one with the I'm never coming home thing on the back. And it's like, I already wear that one to death. And then I got this yellow one. All right, I'm fucking wearing that one now. And then it's like, to get the lower pressing, I had to buy the black hoodie. So I was like, I only wanted to spend the $7, not like $40 fucking dollars, just so I can get the low. And then after a certain point, it just became a thing of like, I guess I just need to like just not care about that.
Yeah. I mean, thank you for still doing that. It's even funnier though, because I think like I'm pretty positive it was you that one day texted me about the like different hoodie for different variant, and I was like, we're doing that? Like we have so much shit out that I'm like, I can't keep track of any of it. And I tweeted a few weeks ago, I was like, I don't know what we have anymore, so visit these websites for our merch. And Vincent texted me and was like, hey, like I just want to make sure everything's all good. Like I saw your tweet, I don't want you to feel like you're not involved with the merch stuff. I was like, no, I can't keep track of it. Like I don't need to be more involved with it. I don't know what we fucking have as it is.
All right, here's a fun thing we're gonna do real quick. Jimmy, just a second.
Okay.
So off the top of my head, I don't remember which of the variants is the lower pressing one. But in order for me to get the one I wanted, I had to buy 2 of D.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do to have it to be fun and whatever one is not the lower pressing, I'm going to give away. But here's what someone has to do. And I guess when we're all done, I'll make a post, and then I'll give it, we'll say a week from today. So, excuse me. You have to go, and do you have a podcast page for your thing?
On my Instagram. Yeah, I have an Instagram for it.
Okay. So you have to go and like Brutally Speaking Instagram, the Riffland podcast page, tag us both in on the Brutally Speaking page, like when I make the post for the 7-inch giveaway, that you are following both, and write done, and then tag Tom and I in it, or both the pages. And then after a week, I will randomly select somebody to win my other 7-inch that I don't necessarily need.
I dig that. That's fun. I I definitely like that.
So that'll be fun. Actually, you know what? And I'm gonna just because I know these are all sold out, I'm gonna add one more thing, one more contingency to it. You have to leave a review for both of our podcast pages on iTunes.
I like that. I definitely like that one.
There, that definitely is worth the my $7 investment to get us a little bit further up on the iTunes rankings.
Absolutely, I agree with all of that.
So when we're all done with this, I will make a post and send a photo of basically the 7-inch. And if I felt like making Tom be a workhorse for me, I would just email it to him, or email it. I would mail it to him to have him sign it, and then that way it's worth something a little bit more for somebody.
I can absolutely do that if you want to do that. We could make this a 2-step process, but I will do that.
Cool. I will send you another envelope then, and Devin's on the Instagram. I will have Tom sign the 7-inch, and I will send him another envelope so he can actually mail it out at no cost to himself.
Thank you.
And there we go. So if you're watching this, I'm going to give away my other D7-inch, whatever one is not the lower variant. And I will send it out to Tom to have signed and send out to whoever wins. All you got to do again, after this is all done, I'll make a post. Go like his podcast page on Instagram. Go follow Brutally Speaking. Comment on the Brutally Speaking one. Tag us both. Say it's done, and then leave us a review and a 5-star rating on iTunes. And when you're done with all that, let us know. And after a week, I will pick a random winner to win that. So
do it.
I want to do more giveaway shit. I have so much cool stuff that I've kind of acquired through being friends with people, and I think giving away stuff is fun. So
yeah, definitely. That's awesome.
Kind of shit. I had something too before, and then I thought of the idea of giving away a 7-inch. Okay, we talked about Slow Decay, talked about the podcast, talked about getting high and watching movies. You've been doing a bunch of podcast jingles and writing and so forth. How has that been going for you?
It's been cool. It's funny. I think I forget if you and I just talked about it privately or if you said it on your show, but it's funny that my podcast intro is just the rejected intro that you didn't want to use. And because I was like, well, I really like this, but I don't like, this is sick. And I would have written this for myself anyway. So
you know what the irony,
I'm going to use it.
The funny thing about that though, is that you also, the song that became the podcast theme, you were like, if you don't want this, I'm turning this into a Acacia Strain song. I was like, nope.
And I still might do that. Like, I mean, I can always just, I don't know. Whether I use it for my band or I use it for my show, I think I own part of the rights to it anyway, so I'll let myself use it, you know?
The irony, though, if you do that, it ends up on something, I'll start getting flagged for taking an Acacia Strain song.
There you go.
At that point, I almost feel like I should pay Vincent to do some sort of like intro lyrics over it or just scream something over it. So at least then it's like straight up mine.
Yeah, then it's like have him use like his cock punch scream, like the high pitched one.
Yeah, I don't know. I was trying to think because like Josta had just the song that he had for a while, and then he's got like all the clips and shit over it. Yeah. But he's got Howard, screaming like Josta show and all that kind of shit. And I was like, that would be kind of funny to get somebody like that I know to be like, hey, I'll give you like $100 or $150 just to like throw something. Sure. So
just do a soundboard.
Yeah, but no, it was kind of funny because like when you had asked me initially, like, oh, does anyone want any editing done or whatever, and I was like, a lot of people at our Tommy, give us a vote kill, says Devin.
No, Devin, I'm not going to.
I should get him on. I've done enough of these with you, and I've had Vincent on. I feel like Devin's the next one I got to get to come on the show. It always seemed like he was the quiet one, even when I have done the interviews with you guys in the rooms and so forth. And he's just kind of, I feel like silently judging how terrible my questions are.
Devin's like the most quiet in a group and then the absolute loudest in the van. Like him and I have, we call it the circle of apologies that we're always, we're just always yelling at each other and then immediately apologizing for. And it's probably because we both yell a lot in the van or we both just make terrible jokes constantly.
Yeah, I've actually been enjoying like that sort of kind of what we were talking about earlier about how everyone's just doing all these interviews. I think Devin's are the ones I've enjoyed the most because like I don't see him ever do press. So it's kind of like getting to learn about somebody that's been around for so long, but you're like, I don't really fucking know anything about you. I don't even like. It's almost at times like, and I wish I could remember the movie off the top of my head. Ben Stiller movie, Long Came Polly, when the dad, when the dad talks to Philip Seymour Hoffman's character, and then he just goes, "Holy shit, I don't think I've ever heard you talk."
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like at times, like when I hear Devin on stuff or when I've read stuff like that, like that's just my reaction. Is like, holy shit, I don't think I've ever heard you speak.
Devin's a real wild card. Like he'll be sitting there totally silent, and then just like, I don't know, we'll all just be kind of like focused in on our phones or doing something stupid, and he'll just make a loud sound, and we look at him, and he's just like, "All right, yeah, come on, give one," and we all have to like give a weird sound. So he's like the surprise guy always, but it's usually a very funny thing that he's trying to do.
Yeah, that's been something that has just been I've been loving about all these random people ending up doing a bunch of press, is getting to just see different aspects of the working parts. Devin says on Instagram, I don't speak usually. When I do, Griffin gets mad. I thought it was funny. Every time I think of Griffin, I also just think of hammered Griffin showing up in the van looking for his booze. And you're like, Griffin's hammered.
Griffin's like 50%, like 75% of the time hammered. But Griffin is by far the scariest one in the band. So
because he's got hair.
No, it's because he will
he has
kill
hair.
you. He's got hands the size of my house, and he will kill everyone. Like he's the only one that I don't like fighting with in the band. And it doesn't happen often that we ever fight in the band, but anytime like an argument starts and it's Griffin, I'm just like, am I gonna get hit in the face?
That's funny. No, inner workings of bands, I think, especially bands that are still in vans. Like when I talked to Brian on that tour from Knock Loose, and he's like, "Oh, let's go out to the van," and you're always kind of like, all right, it's a little crammed, and trying to set up a laptop and a bunch of other shit, you're like, there's not really a comfortable way to sit and with all the gear, so you're just kind of like, all right, I guess I gotta figure out a way to make this work. But it's always funny too, because like there'll be people who are like, oh, you got to go on their van, and I'm like, it's not a bus, like it don't
it's fucking disgusting. Cool. It smells like a fart, and there's sleeping bags everywhere.
And usually like half-eaten food.
Yeah, like rotting half-eaten burritos. It's disgusting. And piss bottles everywhere.
That's the piss bottles. You always got to go with a wide mouth container.
Gatorade and Powerade are the easiest ones for sure, but you'll figure out a way to make anything work.
The scariest is when you kind of underestimate when you underestimate how bad you got to piss, and then you're like, oh fuck, this Powerade bottle's almost getting filled up, and then you have to kind of start looking around, but you don't want to cut off the stream either, so you're like,
yeah,
all right.
Speaking of piss, now since Devin's probably still watching and he can comment on how wrong he was.
Actually, I should see. Oh, I would have to send it to you, I guess. I was like, we should just add Devin to this.
Yeah,
I can do that.
I mean, that's up to Devin. But one of the times that I had to very quietly yell at Devin, but because it was like 2 a.m. But Griffin and I were both drinking in the van. And Griffin went to get changed, and Griffin was like, hey, can you hold my beer? I have to take my pants off and like switch it to sweatpants. Holding beers. Of course, in the process of holding Griffin's beer, I spill my beer, except I spill my beer on our tour manager's sleeping bag that just looked like Devin's sleeping bag. And the entire night he was angry at me. Not the right sleeping bag. So him saying that his bag was wet and smelled like beer, not true. And 2, that same day, I found that a bottle of piss opened up on my whole backpack, and I didn't yell at one person, so I yelled at Devin for yelling at me.
Oh, it looks like you left the Instagram live.
Oh, no, I didn't. I didn't want to. My phone, I had low power. That might be it. I'm requesting again.
Okay.
Requesting again.
Total request live. Oh, man.
I sent.
I got it.
Hey.
Devin said I was not wrong.
100% wrong, but that's okay. I like when Devin watches these because he always has fun things to chime in, but he was absolutely wrong then.
I feel like the band, I mean, I know this has been said a lot, and I mean, even in your promo photos a lot lately, I think it just kind of exudes from them. It seems like, you guys are just having, excuse me, a lot of fun. And I I don't even know what he said because he dropped, but I was not wrong. He was talking about pissy bag, like the beer being spilled on your tour manager's sleeping bag, which he thought was yours, and then a bottle of piss being dropped on his, and he didn't say shit. So that's what you missed. By the way, speaking of piss, did you see on Twitter that Piss Gang or something like that was trending on Twitter the other day?
No, that sounds awful. I don't even want to know why. What does that mean?
I don't remember. I think it was just like one of those things, like someone was like, Tom peed on me.
No, but Devin once peed on our fill-in drummer Matt's shoes, and Devin definitely did that. Devin absolutely peed on Matt's shoes. So
do
Devin,
either one of you have a piss drawer? Have you seen that meme?
No.
You haven't seen?
I have seen that. I hate that. I have seen that. No, definitely not have a piss drawer. That's fun.
I can't believe a drawer would hold that much piss.
Yeah, I hate it so much.
He sauced my foot.
Okay, so that story, I'm just going to let Devin and I take over your show right now. This is just going to be Devin and Tom Power Hour right now. So
well, that's what I'm saying. Like, we could just add them to this and you guys could just go on about van stores. Those are always the best. Like, I might catch some shit for this. I know he's not watching in any way, shape, or form, but you'll totally understand this when I say this. One of my favorite things in texting with Andrew from the Ghost Inside are the honest Germans.
What?
So you know how Germans and so forth are like brutally honest about things. Like, yes, Tom. Last time you were here, you
sounded way better. Yeah,
sounded way better, and you weren't as fat as you are now. So that's kind of like a running thing that we'll do that just fucking cracks me up because anywhere else you're like, that's not acceptable. This just say some blatant weird shit like that.
Yeah, Vincent has so many of those exact quotes that it's my favorite.
So on sporadic occasions, sort of like I did with you, yes, Devin, exactly. That is one of my favorites. But Andrew does such a great voice for it.
Yeah.
It's instant like cheers when he says it, because he'll be like, yes, do you have that in a size L?
Oh yeah.
I do not like that color. Do you have any others? And you're like, bro, you just got that fucking all sweaty and gross. Like, you got to buy that now. Like, just, it's so fucking funny. Just like the difference of touring and so forth, the different cultures and so forth that you go to. And it's not something that we're accustomed to here in the States, but everybody who has that story, like I told him, I was like, I would almost love it if you could become like, that could be a segment on the show where I just get various touring people to give me their German honesty.
That would be a good segment, honestly.
But then everybody, like the handful of people I've talked to about it, like, I don't want people getting pissed at us.
I mean, if you can't, I don't even think that's an insult. I think that's just a thing that you notice. Like, I mean, I'll say this, right? Like, Canadians too, they don't do the backhanded compliment, but in Canada, they always think that you have the shirts at a different color, and I don't understand it. Like, it is like we've got our merch spread, and it's, do you have the long sleeve in yellow? It's like, no, we only have it in black. I'm sorry, man. Like, we don't have a lot of colors in this stuff.
This isn't fucking Burger King. I also, like, I've been living in those Acacia Strain like old man shorts that you guys are selling.
Yeah.
I bought one of the last pair. Like, the last 2 times I've seen you guys live and I bought like a bunch of merch, I have haggled with your merch guy, because usually I end up buying something that's like the last one. And it just straight up on the piece of merch will be like, make me an offer.
Oh, look at Devin's comment. That's really funny. Speaking of Germany, this happened last week.
You are my favorite band on recording, but live not so much. Yeah.
No. There's another one. Devin did a German phone interview the other day, and he got charged $93 for the call.
What?
Yeah.
I don't see that comment anywhere.
I'm seeing it on mine. Either way, that's a real thing. And I think he got reimbursed either by the band or by whoever the interview was with. But yeah, that was like that's just continuing on with the comedy that is sometimes German interactions with American bands. That's another one.
What is one of the funnier things that has happened on tour, whether it's actually funny or it's so comical because of the timing of it, like where it's like it's not funny at all, but just the timing of it, you're like, fucking course this happens.
In general,
Sure.
I mean, the nightmare funny is fucking being 3 weeks into a tour and you just get to the West Coast and then you have to go home because there's a global pandemic. So we could go with that one. Or if we're going actually funny, I don't know, Devin, hit me with a funny one in the comment and I'll explain it. But
he says Matt's Chips Infinity War.
Oh my god. Okay. So I
can't wait for the Devin and You podcast, by the way.
Oh yeah, that's happening. I think Friday we're doing that, Devin. But the Matt's Chips. So the Canadian tour that we did 2 years ago was very fun, but it was also very mentally taxing. Just for a lot of factors. There was like anybody who does like international touring knows that all the way East Coast an hour earlier than Eastern Standard Time kind of thing, like from there all the way to Vancouver, that's a rough tour. Like it's a lot of drives, it's a lot of days off, it's just like a mentally taxing tour. So I feel like the Canadian tour had a million funny things because we were all just losing our minds. But Matt's Chips Infinity War, Matt, our fill-in drummer from 2 years ago, we were like, every gas station we ever stop at, Matt's always got to get some kind of snack. And I mean, we all basically do, but Matt is like a snacker. He gets this family-sized bag of Doritos, opens them up, takes like 3 bites of it, and then we pull into somewhere to get food. He didn't realize that we were getting food. And excuse me, we go into the restaurant. It's probably only funny to me and Devin, but I'm telling it anyway. we go into it, we do our thing, we go back to the van. Me and Vincent have to go across the street to like a rest area to take a piss because where we got food didn't even have a bathroom. And all we see in our group chat is, I just Infinity Ward Matt's Chips. And me and Vincent are like, what the fuck does that mean? Apparently, Devin got into the van not seeing this bag of chips, and with all of his body just like sometimes when Devin gets into the van, he like kind of plops in there. I mean, as does anybody, because me and Devin, we both we have like a futon mat that we lay on. So for us in both spots, it's like you kind of just got to plop in there. And he said that he just felt every single chip come into the dust. And I don't know if it was our mental state of being so just like shot, but I was like on a knee crying, laughing at this rest area waiting to take a piss. And then I'm pretty sure every single one of us was in tears at the van, like still 20 minutes later or 10 minutes later when we got back to the van. And it was like the best thing on the planet to us. And I think that was the same night that I drank beer in the van until 1 a.m. and kept my sunglasses on until 1 a.m. because I was just miserable.
And Infinity War, what's that about?
Oh, he just Infinity Warded the chips. Like they ceased to exist.
Oh, okay. So the Thanos snap.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought there were two separate entities.
Yeah, it was all together. And because we were on that Canadian tour with Left Behind and I Am, who are like our 2 best friends or band best friends, it was like, yeah, there was just a lot of really dumb bullshit. I want to if Devin has another one, if he's still on, Devin, hit me with another and I'll give another one.
So in theory, I think we're going to have, and we can just re-up on the Instagram thing, but as I say, I think we'll probably have like another 3 or 4 minutes for it, like shuts us down.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But we can just re-up it. It's not a big deal. But no, so it's funny, like my wife and I have been traveling a lot more, and as such, like it's kind of funny how certain things you have like your weird quirks. Like, So for me, like no one can see this, but like I like assorted beverages.
I've noticed like 6 different cups that I feel like you've been grabbing.
So this is my sweet tea that I made, and I'm not from the South, but I fucking love sweet tea. So I just made a pitcher of sweet tea last night. Then I had this beer. I have this beer, which is gone basically after this next sip. And then I have a PBR.
Jesus Christ.
At my work today, especially, I had those sparkling ice drinks, the caffeine ones. Those
Yeah.
are like my new thing that I'm like in love with. So I went to the gas station, spent $10 this morning or $8. Bought 3 Gatorades and 2 of those sparkling ice things. And those throughout the day, I had at least 2 beverages alternating plus my water. And people are always like, "Who's drinking all these?" It's like me.
That's so interesting. You know, I mean, I can bring it back to Matt, our old fill-in also. He, and I said this on the podcast when I did an episode with him, and I mean this, I meant this to him in the most endearing way, and I'm going to say it to you in the most endearing way. The minute I noticed that Matt was weird was when he got 2 slices of pizza the first day I met him. And instead of eating one whole slice and then moving on to the other, he alternated bites. So I'm gonna like rate you that same level of weird with that. But I I love it. Like, I mean that in truly the best way.
I know
And you're
it's
my friend, so I could call you weird either way.
it's definitely a weird quirk that I have as far as like needing multiple beverages, but
Yeah.
I hate the idea of like being limited to one thing. It's like I was that asshole who like had the 300-page CD booklet because I couldn't stick to one fucking thing.
Yeah.
It would be like, "Oh, I decided that I needed to like, oh, I want to listen to this like hymn record right now. So I definitely need that." And then I needed, something else. Do I have COVID-19? No, I got my test.
Right.
I got my test. That test is weird, by the way. I don't know if anyone's taken it.
Who is this talking about COVID?
I don't know. I thought it was my friend Hollywood, who lives here in town with me because he has a name that sort of looks like that. But it's not him. It's somebody who lives in Syria. But they don't know what we're speaking about, and that at least I am very fast, like a rapper. I'm assuming that's it.
All right. Interesting.
So
I think our Instagram live thing is
it did.
Okay.
I'm gonna pop it back up here in a second. But yeah, it's connecting now. But no, the COVID test was weird. Like so I was supposed to go, I got furloughed, and then I was supposed to go back to work starting the week before last week, so 2 weeks ago. And what was fucked up is the day my job texted me like, "Hey, come back," they were like, my wife was like, "Hey, so a bartender who we happen to be served by just got COVID." And he announced that he had a positive case. And I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the things when I go into work, it always says like, "Hey, did you come in direct contact with somebody?" And so I was like, okay, maybe I can skate around this and make it to where like I could just go back to work. But I was really afraid that if I did that I'd get a positive case, and then I'd have to tell work like, "I got a positive case." And then they'd be like, "Well, how do you know? It takes like X amount of days to get it back." And I go, "Well, so I took a test a couple of days ago." And then it would be like this whole thing where it's like, "So you knew you were in contact with, and then came back into work knowing that you might have it. Like, that's fucked."
Yeah.
So I was just like, so I told them, and then I was like, all right, it kind of is whatever. So I had to go get the test, and I have a big nose. So like, and it was a drive-through kind of thing. Like they just like do all this shit in the car.
Yeah. That's
and I was talking
too.
So I went and did that, and they were like, "Hey," so like they had it in my nose, and then they go, "Can you actually tilt back further?" And I was like, "Okay." And then they like jammed it in there, and then like when they started, and then it was like, "Hey, can you lean the other way?" And then they jammed it in further from that. And I remember the night before I did a podcast with Michael from Volumes, and talking about, because he had just gotten tested. He's like, "Dude, it feels like when you get a bunch of water up your nose, like when you go swimming, but like it lasts for like half the day."
Yeah, I just did a test a few days, like a week ago. I got a test, and it felt like it was like I had the cotton swab in my nose for like 4 hours after.
Yeah, it was real rough.
Yeah.
So I don't I mean, I'm glad that yeah, it is fucking terrible. And to the dude who's asking us, I don't study anything. I study people so I can interview them, and my job is literally shipping out things to companies at my job. So that is what I do, and I listen to podcasts all day.
Solid.
But it's yeah, it was one of those things where I was like, dude, this is a fucking terrible thing to go through. And I also made the joke. I was like, why is it that like in all of these years and in all the medical advancements that we've made as a society, why is it that between something for this test? Devin's comment on Instagram: the test was designed by Bill Gates so he can install software in your brain so that you get hacked into buying a Windows phone. I'm waiting for an update on that Windows phone. But
that's good.
But it was a thing where I was like, why is it between this COVID test and then the, you know, like getting an STD test? Why is it that they had to stick something far into your fucking hole in your body? Like, isn't there any other medical advancement that we could have made at this point to where you don't have to do that?
Yeah.
Like getting a 6-inch, getting a fucking Q-tip bigger than my dick shoved in my urethra is not my idea of a good time.
I luckily have not had to take an STD test, so I'm happy about that.
Wrap it up, B. That is a nice thing. Like when I remember a friend of mine I was working with, he got a phone call randomly and I was his boss and like, we're not allowed to, I do not need a little money. No, I'm good. Thank you. I can't speak for Tom, but I don't.
I'm ignoring all those comments because they're just ridiculous.
Might be a fan.
I don't. I mean, if you are, sure, send me money. But
pre-order the new record. It comes out on Friday. You can still pre-order. Go to merchconnection.com/ probably the Acacia Strain, I think is what it is, somewhere, something like that.
I don't know what our stuff is. Just play guitar, man.
There we go. I made a thing down here. Oh. I forgot I had that. But yeah, God, I lost my train of thought with that.
Same.
Oh, the STD test. Yeah, no. So a friend of mine got a phone call and he was just like, he just started getting into an argument, and then he's just like, I don't have an STD, you fucking whore, blah, 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 blah. And then you just hear the other person on the other end going like, man, don't show symptoms, you dumbass. And then I was like, all right. And I was like, so do you need to go get tested or something? He goes, I guess I do. Jesus. Like, Jesus. I go, and then someone was talking about that recently, and I was like, I've been with the same person for like 10 years. Like, I'm good.
Yeah, it doesn't sound fun either way.
No, nothing about that sounds fun. Oh man, I just want to hear like so many more. I want Devin to keep commenting because like he's been providing gold.
There was one night that I did an Instagram live of like just me playing guitar, and it ended up with Devin ended up joining the live just so that, because we were just commenting back and forth so often that I was just like, I don't. You have to get S.
That sounds like such a Beavis and Butt headline.
I want Devin on this so bad, right?
Dude. I know, for real, Devin. If I don't know, DM the link. Do you want to join this? Like, I can add you into this thing with us if you're willing to join. Let us know,
Devin.
So actually, speaking of guitar playing, not to cut you off, so you were doing the you playing Crazy Train.
Oh yeah, that was it's not even that good of a video, but it was like an hour after I learned it. I was like, I don't care, I'm just gonna post this.
So what's funny is, and I used to love doing this to people, the Crazy Train riff came as what is the CKY song? Escape from Hellview.
Oh yeah,
it's just like halftime feel.
Yeah,
but it's like the exact same riff. Same notes. I think it might be like tuned differently, but it's like the exact same.
Devin sent a request to something.
Well, no, to the Facebook one. I'll
Devin, go to Facebook. Do you have Devin? John, do you have Devin on Facebook?
I do not. I try not to be weird and just keep adding people.
Can I, if I send him my link?
I'm gonna send you the link. Yeah.
Okay, I have your link already.
I was gonna say you can try that, or I'm gonna give you another link to send to Devin.
Hit me with a new one, baby, and we get Devi on this.
Yeah, there we go. IDR forever. Yeah, dude, IDR. So friend, actually, I don't know how big into CKY you are.
I love CKY.
A friend, I just found my card. I forgot my friend gave me this. He gave me an Narkill CD, and I was like, "All right, cool." I was like, "I Narkill CD," and it's so hard to not want to. Why is this not cool? Oh, there we go. Control V, send, do it.
Ew.
First day ever skip school. that was 4 days after my birthday, Devin.
This is not relevant to Infiltrate, Destroy, Rebuild, but it's relevant to CKY. Devin, about 3 years ago, started this trend with us where whenever we're in a public place and we realize that like one of us from the band is in the bathroom next to each other, like you just wind up in the stall next to somebody, you just start playing 96 Quite Bitter Beings as like a just like as the call to everybody to know that you have a friend next to you. All right, Devin, check your Facebook. I'm sending you the thing.
Here's a fun thing. What is a band that you feel is underrated that never really got their props? CKY. Like CKY, I feel like I was gonna say CK. Like I did an interview with Devin, or not Devin. What the fuck is his name? Darren. Mm-hmm. And I was so nervous. Oh, there he is. Let me in.
There's a bunch of keep going with your story and then I'll list more bands. Devin, I sent you the link.
But like it was kind of interesting though to see that, you know, CKY, like I feel like actually has achieved a lot of success internationally and so forth.
Yeah.
But it's just fucking wild to see how big they are but aren't at the same time.
Well, it's funny. I forget who I was talking about this with recently, but I was always wondering, like, as much as like Jackass and BAM helped out CKY, you know, I'm
it definitely
also
hindered.
Curious about how much it hindered them, like just because it kind of like typecasted them into what they were, you know.
Big Richard.
Oh!
What's up, fuckers?
What up, Dev?
Hey.
I love the let me in. I just imagined you as
Big
Andre
Richard. I just
yeah.
Love that.
Like a penis.
So what do you? And the only way it would have been better is if you named it Pig Venus.
I can't hear you at all.
Can't hear me at all?
Can you hear me?
Hold on.
Turn the volume up on your phone, bud.
The volume is up.
You're the new guy in this. We've been able to hear each other perfectly since you arrived.
I broke it.
Well, you're clearly hearing me because you're talking back to me.
I can hear you. I can't hear him.
You can't hear me.
Now I can.
Okay. I think you could hear all along.
Well, maybe you got your big dick off of my microphone so I could actually be heard instead of being muffled.
Probably.
So what other fun stories do you have? Because so far everything you've been providing has been gold for Tom.
Yeah, let's get some funny. Do something funny, Devin.
Be funny right now.
Be funny right now.
I feel bad for the Instagram people. They can't see that Devin's on now.
Yeah, they can go to hell.
Yeah, exactly. They could go to hell. Get on Facebook, bud.
Oh, me and Tom fight a lot.
We do. It's Circle of Apologies, man.
That's very Canadian thing to do.
Oh, Devin, give him tell John and anybody watching about your masterful negotiation skills.
Oh, for an apology?
Yeah.
So if Tom does something and he makes me upset and he apologizes, I'm usually like, not good enough. And I try to convince him, if he wants to really make it up to me, $100. And
It's like 1 day per diem.
It usually, it's like a lot more days per diem than that.
So he says no, and I try to drop it to $20 because one time he might actually do it.
Never going.
And if that doesn't work, then I go, I'll walk to the store with me.
And then I'll usually do that.
It's almost like one day you're just going to look at your Venmo or Cash App or something like that, and then you're just going to see like $10.
No.
He won't come off of $10 for a joke.
When we were making Slow Decay, I had sold Devin like a case for something, but he didn't pay me. So I tried to Venmo request him $90 saying you stole my case. And then I accidentally gave him $90 because I hit pay instead. And then I had to text him being like, I'm sorry, I'm being a dick. Can you please give me my $90 back?
I'm sorry, we're not a friend or family, so you're only going to get $75 back.
But it was just like, I was being an asshole trying to call him out, and I have to now apologize.
And then I ended up talking you down on the price of the case anyways.
No, you didn't pay me what I asked you. You didn't talk me down from anything, but whatever.
Well, you wanted $90 for a case that's $110 brand new.
$90 used, baby.
It had cat hair all over it.
From you! You had the cat hair.
Still had cat hair all over it.
Oh my god. Okay.
$75 was fair.
Hey, you know what? You sound like Guitar Center right now. You seen that thing they're doing?
Devin is Guitar Center.
What's Guitar Center?
Devin, sometimes you're the equivalent of Guitar Center when you try to make deals like this.
No, I'm Pawn Stars.
Yeah, you're Pawn Stars for sure. Best I could do is this is where I could sell this for 10 grand. Best I could do is $100.
Let me call it, buddy. Actually, no, I'm not. Do you remember the other the pawn show that was like in Detroit where it was like the old,
that's
guy?
like 2.5 hours from where I live. Yeah,
hardcore pawn.
Hardcore pawn. Yep.
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
I threaten people to tell them to get the hell out.
Yeah, Devin's just
sir, you invited me. No, so Guitar Center the other day is doing this thing, which is real shitty, especially in the time frame where they're doing a you can sell all your shit, but they're going to obviously fuck you, and you can't buy from other people who are selling their shit. Like, it's just super shitty where you're like, so obviously the whole point is that you're trying to get cool, good shit for real cheap and fuck everybody else. And then, like, I would almost just like scout it and be like, all right, that's a cool looking, like, guitar or a cab or whatever. Like, hey, dude, before you even go in there, like, what are you selling it for? Like, I'll try to give you something better than they will.
Hey, Devin, remember the last thing that you bought used from a Guitar Center?
Yeah, I bought a Rocktron power amp that didn't work.
Yeah, but you also didn't turn it on for 6 months. Your fault for not trying it.
Reason behind that, I bought it sight unseen because we ordered it from the website. I had it shipped to Vincent's, so I didn't have to fly with it. It sat at Vincent's for quite a while until I was able to try it.
You had it for much longer. You were in the presence of it for much longer than you had it when you tried it.
Right, but even if I tried it out when I first had my hands on it, I was still outside of the window of like being able to return it. So it turned on, but it didn't work. So that's all they did. They plugged it in.
It did turn on, but it definitely did not work.
If I've learned anything, I think at that point you can turn around and sell that with your signature on it at the merch booth.
Yeah, see, Guitar Center is a scam because if you want a good deal on gear, just get some bad gear, get really good at playing, start a band, tour for like 10 years, and then start getting endorsements, and you can get stuff for free.
Yeah,
isn't that the fucked up thing?
Get one over on Guitar Center. That's a great plan.
So I'm as you're kind of telling of these like gear stories and so forth, I'm reminded of an interview with Monkey and Head from a Guitar World from forever ago, and they were like, "Oh, some dude showed up at Soundcheck that made his own pedals, and we tried them out, and we're like, yo, these are tight. Go to merch, buy like get whatever you want, so on and so forth." Has anyone ever approached either of you with like gear they've made, whether it be a guitar, a pedal, whatever, in exchange for something?
Yeah, but it's always been cool stuff for the most part. Like, I mean, that sounds condescending, but like, I mean, there's not a ton of that happening, but it's usually stuff that I'm like, okay, yeah, that's actually interesting. I'll talk to you about it, you know?
Right.
Yeah, it's usually anymore, the most you'll get is like somebody who has either no business building something, or like in Tom's case, there's this older guy who just keeps giving him guitars.
The older guy being my dad.
It's weird. These guitars already come with your name on them.
I know,
Tom Smith Sr.
Not senior or junior.
We already went over this in the
I
band.
read a review today, Tom, and you were listed as junior.
Yeah, I know, because you listed me as junior on our Wikipedia.
Hey, you're also the hammer, so I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, that's Steve's doing.
No, that was also me.
Oh, I think Steve did it first.
No.
Steve sent me the screenshot that he did it.
What is your
remembering?
Evan can't keep track of his own jokes.
What is the best story you've heard about yourself that is totally not true, like a fact or fiction Wikipedia type thing?
I don't think anything really. Devin might have something. He's been around longer than I have.
Tom started Body Count.
Yeah, that's rumor started by Devin.
Tom was in Body Count, so
that's my favorite rumor, because I got to play guitar on a Body Count song once, so that's kind of true.
On the first one that they did with Will.
Yeah, I got to play guitar on one of those songs, and
it was institutionalized. Tom said he's not allowed to say what song it is, but I'm not Tom, and I can't get in trouble.
Well, I'm not gonna confirm or deny, but ever since then, I have been introducing myself as a member of Body Count.
Dude, having had Ernie C on the podcast, that dude has got so many stories. But what was kind of cool, I thought, was just how like he admitted that he was like, yeah, so like, I mean, I might play something, Will might record up, like it's kind of a collaborative thing. Like it doesn't matter as long as the songs are cool. And I'm like, I wish more people were that upfront and honest about being like, it was all me in the studio. Like I played every lead, I did everything. And you're like, something and just be like, it doesn't fucking matter. Like as long as the end product is fucking cool, like that's all that matters.
Devin's doing that to himself.
Oh, I saw.
I played almost all the guitars on Slow Decay.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I did.
Griffin wrote and recorded everything, including the drums. I don't want to hear it.
And he also did vocals, right?
Yes, he did vocals. Oh, just wait for that I Can't Feel Well and Crippling Poison to skyrocket us into superstardom.
That's my favorite part on our entire record, is the song. One of the songs that's not released, Devin's got a sweet, sweet vocal, and it is one of my favorite moments I have ever witnessed in music.
Why is that?
It's sick. It's so sick.
Because it's James Hetfield.
Yeah, he sounds like James Hetfield.
Like 87 Hetfield, like with the full-on mullet and the chops?
It's like James Hetfield meets Twitching Tongues.
Okay.
It's
God,
so
man,
sick.
I wish that band would put out something new soon.
Yeah, Metallica, they're fucking sick.
No, Metallica sucks. I don't need anything else from
that. If we're going back to funny tour stories, anytime Devin and I start talking about Metallica, that's just an immediately yelling at each other in the green room kind of conversation.
Listen, they still have a good one left in them.
Okay, I'm not going to get in that on the internet.
Out of all of them, who has a good record left in them? Kirk, who loses his phone in all of his riffs, James and Lars, who apparently won't let anyone else write anything, or Rob and Kirk, who like doing weird jams that aren't very good at.
Listen,
Rob and Kirk,
Jimmy Hatfield has so much talent in his right hand.
Yeah,
if they let him use it, they will write another good record.
Hey, you know what? All I'm going to say, put the nail in the coffin, is Metallica should know, like, people who shouldn't make beer alcoholic beverages. So their beer is one of the Their beer is worse than the fucking snare tone on Saint Anger. Like, it is god awful.
I don't hate that sound.
I think I've grown to really like that snare sound.
I read something actually earlier today.
Yeah, about Bob Rock saying how they can. Yeah,
where it was just like
they went in the old rehearsal studio.
Them being a garage band.
Yeah,
and it kind of helped to save the band from breaking up.
No,
because without that, we wouldn't have got like the legendary Death Magnetic record with songs I can't remember the names of because they're not very good.
Yes, the most legendary. When I think of legendary records, I think Master of Puppets, Ride the Lightning, Death Magnetic.
I still think that Hardwired is right after Black Album.
I have listened to maybe a riff from Hardwired, so I can't even give an opinion on it.
Listen to Dream No More, man. That chorus is heavy.
I don't. After you trying to actually sell me on Creed, I don't think I listen to anything you.
All right, here's a fun tangent. Since this, what is a record that most people hate that you is criminally underrated by a good band?
And most people think that Him sucks and Him rocks.
I have a bunch of Him tattoos. I love that.
First records, pretty good.
I actually think everything is a good record. I just think it's toward the end. It's kind of weird. They kind of went like way stoner doom metal kind of toward the end, like just 8-9 minute long songs that just kind of like get down to a really slow like single like chug for a second. And you're like, oh no, okay, we're back to the chorus. Okay, all right, that's what we did. Okay,
I think the worst thing about Him is just the lyrics, because it's like, oh, what's the song going to be about? Love or dying or both? Those are our three topics.
Yeah, but I mean, those are pretty metal.
Yeah,
I feel like that's
tired after a while.
Yeah. No, I think like one of mine is Finch's "Say Hello to Sunshine." I think is a criminally underrated record. Like the playing on is just really good. I mean, because let's be fair, I think What It Is to Burn, if they would have kept going down that route, it's like, cool, we already had Glassjaw. We don't need another one. And then you could almost argue who put out the better follow-up to Worship and Tribute, Glassjaw or Let Live with Fake History?
I don't listen to music.
Yeah. Who's your favorite podcaster? Let's go with that. And I know it's not me or Tom, so.
It's Tom.
9 episodes in, and he's already my favorite. Like the bar is set so high, he's basically the Dylon of podcasting. Just spits hot fire.
He is my favorite stage right guitar player in the Acacia Strain.
That's all I could ever hope for, is just being the favorite on my side.
If you ever come over to my side, I will send you back.
How did you?
Because you always want me to go to your side, and I hate it.
Yeah, because I want to attack you.
No,
Joe Rogan experience.
We stay on our sides. We're not that kind of band. We stay on our sides, man.
Actually, here's a fun thing, because I have noticed seeing some bands, you'll notice like everyone kind of has their like your stage right, your stage left, but then sometimes you'll see bands where they'll switch the dynamic where like Tom and Griffin might actually be on the other side of the stage, but you're still on your own side. How do you determine when you guys will switch, and what is the reasoning behind that, if you ever have?
I walk over to Tom's side of the stage so I can mess with Tom. I got spikes on my guitar strap, and I walk over there now so I can stab him with my guitar strap.
That's very Road Warrior of you.
There's probably nothing I dislike more in the middle of a show than when Devin comes over to my side and like forces me to his side, because we play so loud that we don't get each other in each other's monitors. So
I'll step on your pedal.
Yeah, so I'll go over to his side when he forces me to, by like just pushing me over there, and I can't hear myself. And then I come back to my side of the stage, and Devin has changed me to a lead patch in the middle of car bomb, and I sound like an idiot. Like, it just never works out well for me.
I think it works out great.
Yeah, I'm sure you do, Devin.
Yeah, well, I can't do it with Griffin because he'll punch me.
He will punch you.
Everyone's afraid of Griffin. That's what I've learned.
Dude, his hands?
Straight up the scariest member of the band. That's what I said. I said his hands are the size of my house.
And he's not afraid of any of us.
No, he's not afraid of anybody. He'll kill all of us.
For no reason, too. Out of nowhere. He'll just be upset, and we're like, oh, God.
Usually we give him some kind of reason.
Yeah. but I don't recognize my own flaws, so I
I was
don't.
gonna say, you give him more of a reason than anybody generally. I got Devin sad. He knows he's gonna get hit
Remember that
one
time
day.
I like cracked a joke in the group chat to try to like calm everybody down, and he went off on me, and I was like, oh no.
Yes, I do remember that. That was a long time ago, but I do remember that.
Did you get to boss around Tom when he was playing guitar for Left Behind, since you managed them?
I boss around Tom at all times.
Devin didn't even watch one of those sets, let alone boss me around.
I watched.
No, you didn't. Maybe you sat in the green room and watched on your phone somebody streaming it.
No,
What?
I watched.
Devin, at one point I wasn't gonna do it because I didn't know what was going on with it, and then Devin went, "Please do it so I don't have to do it."
Listen, no, I watched. It was you on guitar. Kevin was on drums.
Oh,
Zach,
okay.
Cade played bass. The other guitar player was playing guitar.
You're right. How can you fool anybody?
Just calling Brian the other guitar player.
I love that.
Oh, like the time I announced you on stage when it ringing out during a car bomb, and I was like, Thomas Dwayne Smith Jr. on the other guitar.
That's a good lie about that. I've found out is some people think my actual middle name is Dwayne because Devin calls me Thomas Dwayne Smith.
Not Dwayne, Dwayne.
Yeah, Dwayne.
Wayne, Dwayne.
Oh, also Devin, just getting on funny Devin things. Devin, would you like to? Do you remember what you said when we were all on that obsession with beans on the Hatebreed tour?
Goya or otherwise? And also, you left the Instagram apparently.
My phone died, so I'm out of it.
Live by the beans, die by the beans.
We out this bitch.
I'm thinking about those beans.
Yeah, that was Devin's. The end of the show, Devin just announced that to a Hatebreed crowd, and none of us knew it was coming. And Devin just starts talking about beans on stage.
This dude eating beans.
This dude eating beans.
One of my favorite things, and I don't know why other bands don't do this as a fucking rib on the fucking crowd or whatever. But I saw the bass player from Ice Nine Kills opened for the tour package by eating baked ziti.
What?
Literally on stage in front of everyone, was just like eating it for like 20 minutes.
Vincent ate a sandwich on stage a bunch of times during Warped Tour. That's kind of become our thing, is getting snacks.
So it's funny. Up here locally, there's a thing called Pronto Pups. They're like it's just a corn dog as far as, I mean, whoever's watching that might be from here in Michigan. They can get mad that I don't fucking suck the dick of Pronto Pups. But so everyone locally has been sharing that meme of Vincent getting like the reaction to like, here it is in frame.
Yeah.
And then Vincent reacting to it. But everyone's been flipping the image, and it's like when you get offered a Pronto Pup, but you don't want it because they're bigot racist, something like that. And I'm just like, it's so weird that this is now like a meme within a thing is like become local for us. And I'm like, it's so weird.
I've seen that meme come up like way more often than ever lately, and I don't understand why, but it's pretty funny either way.
Speaking of food, allow me to interject here and say I am going to go eat dinner, and I will see you guys later. Bye.
Big Richard's out.
Solid, Big Richard.
That was a lot of fun. I feel like he would be a fun interview, but he probably wouldn't answer stuff very seriously. So I would just go into it knowing that.
You could it's one of those things where I get surprised when he is being serious sometimes, and then I feel like the asshole because I'm like making jokes about his very serious response.
Well, that's like when I had the opportunity to interview someone from Guar, and I got to talk to Michael, their singer, Blothar, and I was like, can I like Michael as the person? Because he as a dude is really interesting. Like he taught at Virginia Commonwealth College as a professor, and he like did one of his dissertations or whatever on Guar and like their social relevance and so forth. And so I was like, oh, like this dude's an intellectual. Like I'd rather talk to him as a person. And then the publicist was like, no, you talk to him in character. And I was like, all right. Yeah, and then so I wrote a set of questions for the character. They were all throwaway there. And then I wrote like 3 pages of questions for him.
Yeah.
So when he showed up, and like it wasn't a video, so he showed up just himself, not in costume. And then I go, so here's the thing. Your publicist told me I have to do this interview in person, like as you as the character. However, I created a whole other set of questions for you as the person that I would love to talk to you about. Here's kind of the line of what it is. If you're game, I'll do whatever one you want to do. I have questions set and ready to go for either one.
Mhm.
Let me know which one you want to do. And thankfully he was like, let's do the one as me. And I was like, cool. And it was one of those
$1 million in character. So he's like, thank God somebody wants to talk to just me.
Well, it kind of made me wonder, not the case, because it's like, it's easy to sort of be a character where anything you answer is just fucking like, it doesn't matter. You can be as asinine as you want to be. And it does. That's who you are as that character.
Mm-hmm.
So part of me is almost like, maybe that's the fun part of being in Guar, where you can be like, oh yeah, came down from Pluto and came and fucked your leaders and you guys all cried about it, but whatever, I blew jizz on all your faces. Like, you can just say whatever and it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
But
totally.
That's kind of like where I was like, I don't know, maybe it would be kind of freeing not to have to do interviews as me, like as a person. I don't know.
I mean,
maybe Devin's actually.
I can only speak for ever talking as Tom, so I don't know how it feels to be a character, but
I don't know. You don't want to become a character of Tom Smith Jr., who is not a junior. Like that's sort of your like your catchphrase. That's your catchphrase. Is you start off like, "Hi, welcome to the Riffland podcast, or Rifffield Land podcast. I'm Tom Smith Jr., but not a junior. But we'll get to that later on. Maybe we'll figure that out at the end of the series."
It's funny because I got interviewed for a podcast a few weeks ago, and they kept referring to me like as if my name was not a junior, and I thought that was really funny. That's just like latching on of like, oh, he's very commonly correcting people of his name. Not that I care either way. Like, call me. I don't give a shit. It's just like, I don't know. It's funny Devin is very adamant about it and refuses to believe that I'm not a junior. So that's why with me and him, it's a thing. But yeah, I don't know. It's funny. I like that it's become my thing.
So I'm going to actually go grab another beverage because I'm out of my 4.
Jesus Christ. Go for it.
Yep. All right. Be right back.
Try and charge my phone here. Hey. It smells like a microphone. It smells like a microphone.
All right. So hopefully everyone's getting their reviews put in for the Slow Decay 7-inch or the D 7-inch thing that Tom and I are going to do. So you can win a free 7-inch that's sold out.
I confirmed that my microphone smells like a microphone while you were gone.
That is the thing that happens. There we go. I'm trying to remember. I know, like, I have been to Charlotte, and I don't think I haven't been to Raleigh, but I went to. We flew into Myrtle Beach, went to Charleston, and then went to where in North Carolina did we go? It's where the Panthers play. Charlotte,
yeah.
So it's weird going, and I know you haven't been drinking nearly as long as maybe I have in different states. But it's weird the liquor laws that exist. So like when we went down there, it was so weird to see like you'd have a store and they were identified by red dots on the buildings. And basically you'd like liquor on one side, beer on another, and it was a store you'd walk into with two separate doors, and they were not they were separated by a wall. I thought that was so weird. But
yeah,
even
I haven't seen that actually, but it's definitely in like anytime, because Griffin and I are the only ones that drink in the band, so it's always interesting like running into somewhere like in whatever state and whatever city, and you're like, can we actually buy alcohol here? Like I don't know if we're gonna even be able to do that here.
The interesting thing though is like so my wife and I often joke about how like you'll go, we call them thimbles. Like you'll go places and you'll get like a shot that might be like yay big.
Yeah.
And you're like, the fuck is this? And it literally comes in like a plastic thimble. And you're like, and they're like $8 for that. And you're like, what the fuck? $8 for that? And then like recently we've kind of come to the conclusion where we're like, what do people when they come to like Michigan, what do they think? Like you come here and a shot comes in like a rocks glass full. And like, are people like, I'm gonna die? Like, what the fuck is this? Like,
I mean, it's definitely tight when you get somewhere and they have like the good size pours for their shots. me, Griffin, and our tour manager Ollie, we have like a daily ritual of, we call it a meeting, and we just like right before at some point in the show, like me, him, and Ollie have our own group chat, and it's just like every day you'll just see meeting ? And we'll all meet up at the merch table and just go do a shot together. But yeah, I like to keep track of like where the shots are good and where they're really shitty too.
Midwest is interesting. Chicago is pretty solid. Sometimes you kind of get dicked around price wise, but I mean, for the most part, you can't go wrong with a town that stays open until 4:00 for drinking.
We played, I want to say it was New Mexico. And usually Ollie, like, just because he's a great dude and because he uses his tip money and he doesn't mind doing it, he's usually the one that buys them. And like we'll get him back. And usually it's like he buys the shots, and then at the end of the tour we just get him a bottle to like make up for it, you know. But there was one day where like he got me, there you go. He got me, Griffin, himself, and one other person a shot, and they were like, all right, $40, and he's like, we don't get anything like for being on the tour and being the band, and they're like, nope, sorry, $40. So he like did it, and then the next day Griffin and I both, like, whatever Walmart we were at was selling liquor for crazy cheap, and it was like we bought like a $7.50 bottle of tequila for him for like $9, and it was like decent tequila. It was insane that he got a whole bottle for the amount that we got him a whole bottle for what he paid for a shot.
Yeah, if you're ever in Chicago, there's a place called Binny's, and they have like a little thing you put on your keychain and shit like that, like your for like a discount. But like you can go and like they have different shit on sale at different times. But like one time I went in, they had half gallon of Jim Beam for $22.
Holy shit, that's crazy.
Yeah. So I mean, like, there's cool shit like that all over. Like when we were out in Arizona, there was, I think it's a Bevmo, I think it is. Same kind of thing. Like it's just a booze superstore.
Yeah.
And to me, like, I love going to those things because sometimes it's crazy to like, I mean, obviously distributions and so forth, you can certain beers, certain liquors and so forth in different places. Like, you know, here in the Midwest, like a big thing, and I don't know if you've ever had it,
is what? Sorry, the thing cut out.
Malort.
I have not had that.
All right, so
or at least I don't know that I've had that. I maybe have had it, but I don't. You
would know. You know you've had Malort. If you're ever in Chicago, get a shot. I'm gonna tell you, it's an acquired taste.
Okay.
Pretty fucking disgusting. But it is definitely one of those things that it's kind of like a when in Rome kind of thing. Like when you're in Chicago or you do a shot just to kind of be like, this is this horrible thing we're doing. Yeah. But it's definitely a very liqueur. I'll send you a video when we're done with this. I'll send you a video that is like a faux ad. That is fucking great for it. Actually, kind of going back to the Lamb of God beer, or the non-alcoholic beer. So I know obviously you didn't drink for a while, but something I kind of had wondered with that is like, I wondered if people who have never drank would drink that and be like, I actually kind of like that. I wonder if I would like beer, and it would steer them into trying beer for the first time. What has your experience, and as someone who didn't drink for the longest time, and now you're kind of slowly dipping your feet into this like world craft cocktail boom that's been happening in the last like 5-6.
Yeah, I mean, well, before I became a stoner and beer drinker, I was straight edge before that. So like, even if it was non-alcoholic beer, I was like, no, I'm not down with that, But I could definitely see, like, I mean, granted, I haven't had the Lamb of God beer, but I could definitely see where if I was in somebody's shoes of like somebody who just hadn't ever tried beer, being like, oh shit, Lamb of God's sick, let's try this. It's non-alcoholic, I've never drank before. I would definitely see where it would make sense to be like, wait, beer's kind of cool, like let's try out all this stuff. But yeah, I don't know, for my experience, it was always like vehemently against it, and then I just was like, okay, I don't fucking care anymore. Let's start drinking.
What, I don't think you and I have talked about this, but obviously with the show kind of being the crux of it being that we drink various things. What led you go down that path of actually drinking after not doing it for so long?
So I mean, the whole reason that I was straight edge for a while was all like literally, I think, let's just use the number 10, say 10 of my friends from high school, I think 8 of them were doing heroin. So I was like,
oh shit.
Yeah, I was like super against all of it, because I was just like, everyone I know is like, not that I thought that I was ever going to do heroin by trying anything, but I was just like, I need to distance myself from all of that completely. So I was like super passionate about not doing anything. And then any of those friends that like I stayed close with over the years, they all got their act together, and it was like, I no longer had this crazy resentment towards substances, because like my friends had cleaned up their acts, and that's when I was just like, okay, well, like, I don't think this is ever really going to be a problem for me, because before I was straight edge, like I had just like done the normal, like, oh, I'm a sophomore in high school, my friends stole a bunch of beers, I'll have a beer, like I was never like somebody who was like, I need a substance. But that's when I was like, well, I know I don't have a problem, or at least I seemingly don't have a problem, and now my friends they have their life together, so I kind of don't care about this as much. And I'm sure there's some people who are, if they hear that, they're probably pissed off at that mindset. But I mean, that's just my experience, and that was like, it was really, being straight edge was really important to me for a long time, because it was what I needed for myself to like distance that from my friends' bad choices. But and to show like that I didn't approve of what my friends were doing. But then once they had like gotten their lives back together, I was like, okay, well, I'm not really angry at this stuff anymore the way that I was like angry at any substance that made my, like, was a contributing factor to my friends along the way, So that was like, okay, well, I kind of don't have this anger towards it. And I was working at a craft beer store, like even without drinking, and a bunch of my friends who weren't on heroin were doing like really into craft beer, and I was just like around that culture. So I was like, well, I want to fucking try some of this stuff. Like I'm gonna just go for it. And I fell in love with craft beer like 3-4 years ago, and now it's like kind of my hobby, if I had to make it a hobby.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm actually getting ready to send out another package to Mark from Nothing More. Like that's something him and I have bonded over.
That's
and cool. He's been sending me, like, he sent me a package of or 2 packages actually of beer from out in Dallas, in the Texas area. And he's more of he's kind of like me, who like likes a lot of different things, but I think sours are more his thing, which are definitely not mine.
Yeah.
But it's just really cool. Like I found a brewery thanks to someone posting this brewery that was like here's this like fuck trapped beer or whatever they made that looked like a Gatorade. And I was like, okay, who do I know in Orlando that can get me one of those? But then I started
Yeah.
looking at their beer and I was like, oh my God, they got beer that just sounds so fucking amazing. And I was like, who do I know in Orlando that can get me any of this? And it's like, I know like what Mark and I are doing and a handful of other friends and I are doing is hella illegal. Like behind me backwards, back in this room of this closet, I have all the Deftones beer, and that's not available out here. But like I have every single one that they've put out, and it's one of those things where you know loophole like the band's not selling it to people out of state or whatever, but it's people getting in contact with someone who lives in another area. Like, hey, I'll whatever, and I love it. Like I love the fact that like, and it kind of sucks because there's been a couple of beers that I've tried from other places state where I'm like, God, this beer was so good, and I can't get any more of it because it does not exist in this area. That really sucks, and it's a thing where it just kind of gets to be really shitty. And like kind of speaking back to Benny's, like there was a tequila that I found that I really like because I apparently only like really expensive tequila. And there's this brand called Fortaleza that a friend of mine is a brand ambassador for, which is how it came on my radar. But if you go to Chicago, they have it, but it's like 95 bucks a fifth.
Holy
like
shit.
It's really expensive, but it's really fucking good. I bought one bottle, but between that and another bottle of gin that was like that I had when I was out in LA, that's like really like it comes in like a potion bottle. Actually I forgot to actually do this kind of fun shit. So it comes in like what looks like a fucking potion bottle. And I tried it while we were out in LA, and I mean it was stupidly expensive for what it was, but they just recently started I'm gonna share my screen here in a second. Yep. So whatever. No, we're not gonna work. All right, well, go fuck yourself then. But basically the this gin was like fucking like $50, like a little like a fit. And I just started seeing they started getting it out here in Michigan. It's crazy, like when you start getting into like cocktail, like where you start like thinking like, okay, like this has got like a weird like juniper-y kind of flavor, or this has got a lavender and blah blah. Like it's just it's fun to experiment. And sometimes like I like during this whole pandemic, it's been interesting because like my wife and I can't go out, so like we just don't spend any money. But I'm also kind of like, it kind of sucks because like I feel like I'm missing out on like some of the fun of going and trying all these different things. And then you even get to like some of these different places who will do a whole evening like with liquor and beer, and you're like, oh, it's crazy how you're doing like this fall thing with some fall beers and then fall liquors and fall like flavors and so forth. And it's like I totally, some people are like I would never touch any of that stuff and so on and so forth. But sometimes I just feel like it's like, man, but like I feel like you're missing out. Like I feel like you're on something. And I've sort of applied that recently to my pseudo drug intake as of lately. Like I'm gonna be 36 in like 2 months, and I just started smoking weed like almost every day. But I only smoke like the last like an hour or two before I go to bed.
That's how I am. I smoke every day, but it's like just to chill out before I go to bed.
Are you like me then, where you're like just constantly thinking all the time and can't shut your brain off?
Oh yeah, always. I have like crazy. Yeah, my anxiety is constantly through the roof. So it's like the hour or two before going to bed, it's like, all right, I'm just gonna chill out, watch a movie, and then I could actually get a good night's sleep.
Absolutely. That is, and the 2.5 months I've been I guess self-medicating as some people would call it. I've had some of the best sleep I've ever had. I don't wake up in the middle of the night and don't stay awake all overthinking things or just thinking about shit.
Yeah.
And it's become one of those where it's definitely made me start wondering why the stigma has been attached to this thing that, makes me better life, because I'm able to actually sleep and not just run on fumes because I just have my body is conditioned to be a certain way. It's wired differently than I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, I mean, obviously, like I said, I'm big into like craft beer, but I think weed is a lot less dangerous than alcohol. And
Oh, dude, I've been drinking way less since I started smoking.
it's just in, I don't know, like people don't usually get attacked, or people don't usually attack anyone while they're stoned. You know, they usually don't want to do anything. So I kind of never really understood the like alcohol's legal but weed's not. But yeah, I totally get what you're saying. Like it's either the most chill kind of like social thing, or it's actually like a form of medication to some people. So it's like it's I think it's really just to keep people in jail, honestly, which is unfortunate because like some states you have absolutely like decriminalized and recreational weed that's legal, and then there's other states where people are serving life sentences for a joint. You know, it's insane.
Yeah. How has that been? Because like I know, like in my travels, like we went to Denver. I've been out to the Pacific Northwest, and I bought legal weed. But I remember the first time going to a dispensary and feeling like I was doing something so wrong, because that's what's been browbeaten into us as a society.
Yeah,
it's been really interesting.
Definitely the first time I ever went to a dispensary, I was just like looking around, like I feel like this is wrong. And then like even like getting out of it, it felt even worse when like you'd get in the van and it's like you drive off with this bag of like a bag of pre-rolls and then some like oils or whatever, and it's like, wait, this is okay here. Like I can not worry about this.
Yeah, it's been wild. I very, very recently for the first time did like a microdose of acid, and I was like I've done shrooms. I love shrooms. I honestly feel like everyone should take mushrooms at least once.
Yeah, I've never done them. The only thing I've ever done is smoke weed and drink, you know.
Shroom interesting, at least for me, and I almost feel like you would probably be the same way. Just kind of given our conversations and kind of getting more to know how you are as a person. But as someone who likes to think, shrooms, and the one time I did the microdose of acid kind of gave me the same feeling where it's like the high kind of washes over you.
That's what I've heard from people too.
It's almost like, this sounds really stupid. It's almost like when you drink a lot of wine and get wine drunk, like the wine drunk washes over you slowly.
Like, yeah, it's like a slow creep kind of thing.
It's a slow decay.
There we go.
Which is out Friday. Out Friday. Pre-order down below. Here's the link.
Buy our shit.
But it's a thing where for when I took mushrooms, it at least for me, it makes me think about things in a completely different facet than I've ever thought of. And what was interesting is like I realized like I become weirdly aware of time.
I can see that. Yeah.
And it's weird because like I don't really give a fuck about time any other point in my life. But like when I'm shrooms, I'm always like kind of like, okay, at this time, like blah 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 blah. Like one of my favorite stories to kind of tell, but it's also informed a lot of other things, is like a couple of my friends and I went for a walk in a park, and there was an old couple that passed us on their walk. Like we were walking one way, they walked another. And then there was a runner who was ahead of us and then just went past us. And our friends had their tiny little dogs and they had to pick them up because they couldn't walk for that long of a distance to keep up with us. And I remember as we were kind of sitting there and I was like, just kind of laughing, and they're like, what's so funny? And I was like, so I don't give a fuck about this, but I think it's funny. Like I'm always aware that like I'm high and this is a high thought.
Right.
But I always have that moment of clarity where I'm like, here's a weird thought, but it's actually interesting to think about. But like I'm only thinking about it because I'm high, or tripping, or whatever you want to call it. But I was like, so that old couple, they were in our future, then we kept moving forward, and now they're in our past. The runner was in our future, traversed into our present, went into our past.
That is definitely some tripping mindset.
But what's interesting is kind of thinking about how that's all of our lives. Like people come in our lives, but it's like when you kind of think about the bigger picture of what that represents and so forth, it's kind of I don't know. It's just interesting to kind of start thinking of things a little bit bigger than you, and then you kind of just like, oh fuck, like I'm nothing.
Yeah, I mean, in reality, that's kind of a healthy way to think, because it's like you won't maybe stress the small shit as much. But I don't know. Dude, I feel like there's a fine line too between like how you feel in that moment and what you should actually worry about. But
so something that I have found very lately in the last like year or two of my life is like my wife and I don't want kids. And a lot of people feel very, however, and a lot of people actually force their thoughts on you about that. Like,
My
want kids,
fiance
you
and I
should
don't
have
also
kids.
yeah, we don't want kids either, and we constantly get those same comments, so I know exactly what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
So I like to make it equally weird for people when they ask me. Like one time, I was like, "Oh, I'm impotent," and they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I shoot blanks. Like I can't have kids." So reminding me that I can't.
Well, that's the thing. It's like sometimes you don't fucking know why people don't want kids. Like we don't want them because we just don't want them. But it's like
Exactly.
you don't know what you're bringing up for people, and that's why like I get really pissed off when people actually do try to force that. It's like you don't know what you could be bringing up with us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then I went a different route where I ask a pseudo embarrassing question, like when they're like, "Oh, do you guys you don't want kids?" And I'm like, "So does your partner climax when you're on top or when they're on top?" And they're like, "What does that have to do with anything?" I was like, "Well, I figure if we're asking invasive questions, like,
yeah,
I'll ask you a weird one."
Totally.
But the thing is in all of that, what's been interesting and kind of refreshing to me is I feel like I get to live my life where I don't have this pressure to set up and be for somebody else and constantly worry like, okay, so when I die, how is my kid going to be? How is the world that I leave behind? What is that going to look like?
Yeah.
It doesn't fucking matter. When I'm dead, that's it. Like, hopefully, like I die. Hopefully I die after my wife does or before. Like, I don't want her to be like left alone, but
right. Yeah.
All of that said, like basically it's like it's kind of freeing to know that when I'm done, that's it. I don't have to worry about anyone or anything.
Yeah. I mean,
and
that's a very valid
so
point.
freeing. And so many people, when you explain that to people, they're like, "That's fucked up." And I'm like, "No, that's so liberating." Because I think so many people, when I look at parents now, and they're like, "I mean, what kind of world am I leaving behind?" I'm like, "I don't give a fuck."
Yeah, I totally get that for sure. It definitely takes the pressure off of yourself a bit. Like I mean, granted, a big part of why I don't want kids is because I have no fucking clue what my life is like right this moment, let alone in a month from now, let alone in 3 years from now. But yeah, there's definitely like, I mean, the fact that we're both on the same page about like the kid thing is like a very like.
Oh, dude, I'm totally selfish. Like, I mean, I can't
Yeah.
do this. I couldn't do this if I had a kid. I mean, I guess I could, but like, what kind of parent would I be?
You have to worry about it a little bit more.
Yeah. No, I mean, I have totally just, and this is something people also don't like hearing. I was like, I'm totally selfish. I would rather be able to pick up and go see a show. Like, I don't know how many times my wife and I have been like I just saw a Time Hop the other day that it was like randomly ended up at the Norman He Is Legend show. Because we were at the bar drinking, and Bridget looked at her phone and was like, "So Norma Jean's playing across town. You want to go?" And I was like, "All right."
Yeah.
And we just went. And it's like, we wouldn't have been at the bar until like 9 or 10 if we had a kid at home, let alone going like, "Do you want to go see Norma Jean?" Okay. Right. Like, it's like, I'm too selfish. I love that. Just pick up and go and do, like, having a puppy and having a dog kind of makes us a little bit more cognizant of those things. But by and large, it's like I wouldn't have the life I do a child because that just wouldn't be responsible.
Yeah, totally. And I think that's a very valid thing that's a very valid viewpoint that you're being honest about, that a lot of people don't understand is like, oh, that's the good kind of honesty.
Slowly kind of, I guess, in wrapping up, so I don't keep you too long.
Yeah, I was going to say that as much as I like the life's big questions, I do have to be heading off in a second.
Yeah. Is that something you're kind of worried about, ending the Acacia Strain at all? Kind of getting to that point in everyone's life where maybe marriages and settling down is kind of taking more precedence over being gone?
No, because we don't have any of those plans, but I think now that I've been a part of the writing of 2 records, if it were to end, I'd be like, okay, I'm fine. You know, like do I want it to end? No, of course not. But if like in an hour we were to have a group chat and it was like we all came to some big like life change within now and 11 p.m. tonight, it was like, okay, band's done. I'd be like, that's a bummer, but I'm proud of what I did, you know? So I don't, I'm really, really proud of what we did and what I accomplished with these 2 records and just with the band. And yeah, that stuff doesn't really scare me too much. I'm kind of just like, I'm happy with my friends in the band. I'm happy with what we all did. And I'm just grateful for that, you know?
So, lastly, where can everyone find you or the band and any other plugs? Obviously, there's the thing down below that says where the pre-order for Slow Decay is, which comes out again this Friday. I know we didn't necessarily talk a whole lot about the record, but I mean, it's been a 4 or 5 month slow release of the record. So
yeah, everybody's got the idea. And if they want to hear more about the record specifically, I'm interviewing Devin this week, and I'm doing my own podcast episode with myself. So you'll get info then. But that segues into the plug of Riff-Filled Land Pod on Instagram, tsmith678 on Instagram for me. You have to let both those accounts know that you have entered into your Slow Decay or your 7-inch giveaway.
For D.
Yes. Yep. And then, yeah, I mean, those are the two
Leave
main places. I'm kind of kind of on and off Twitter, so I don't even think there's a point to giving the Twitter, but yeah, Instagram is where I'm most active because that's the only one that doesn't stress me out.
So once again, and I finally plug it. After we're all done with all this, I'll probably take a photo. Again, whatever of my 7 inches isn't the lower numbered variants, as the one I'm putting up. I'll take a photo of this. I will tag the Riffland Filled podcast page, the Brew Speak Pod Instagram page, and for just shits and giggles, I'll tag Tom as well. Yes. What we are trying to do is we want you to follow all of just the podcast pages, and then leave us a rating and review on iTunes of both of the podcasts. When you're done with that, comment done. And as of we're recording this on the 22nd of July, so 1 week from today, I will pick a winner at random. I'll probably do a live thing, and I will then I keep wanting to say email. I will then mail the 7-inch to Tom to have him sign it, and then he will mail it to whoever the winner is from there. But it's just basically a thank you for supporting the band, supporting the podcasts, and basically, just in this time of uncertainty and COVID and all that kind of stuff, support goes a long way. So we just want to reward the support for our endeavors while we're just doing nothing. So,
yep.
Thank you for spending 2 hours with me doing this. Every time we talk, a good time, and I wish you were touring. I think at this point I should have seen you at least 2 times here in Michigan.
Probably. So, yep.
Kind of a bummer that I didn't get to hang out in person, but this is the next best thing. And fuck it, I think maybe even if I can't get my friend to start the podcast, like maybe I'll just have you on for a random episode and fill out people for the Movie 8 podcast.
There we go. I'm into your idea, so just keep me posted.
Fair enough. Enjoy the rest of your night, and I'll probably text you soon. Actually, I got to send you the Malort thing, so I'll definitely text you when we're done. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you for having me. Always a pleasure hanging out and talking to you. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Good night.
Peace.